Okay, so we begin by finding the linear inverse of this linear function, and that means I'm going to swap x and y, and I'm going to add the opposite to both sides. I'm going to write my equation down with a y in front so that I can divide by that coefficient, and then my linear inverse function has now been created. And so I'm going to take these two functions, this one and that one, and I'm going to take them and put them into Desmos. So when you log on to Desmos, please make sure that you pick an email address that you like. You don't have to use the school email, but you do have to log in just so that you can save this graph, because when you submit it, if you don't like your points, you could change it, and so you want to keep this around for a while. So I hit the graphing calculator button, and now that I've logged in, I'm going to give this a name, like for example, ranch logo, and you might want to put your last name there so that when you submit it, I've got that. So there it is, and I'm typing in my equation y equals 13x plus 12, and then I had the other one, y equals 1 over 13 x minus 12 over 13. And ooh, that's very exciting. The shape of these graphs, I was requested to make a video so that you could see how to do an M. And so I'm trying to show you here. When you click on this, you're supposed to get a little button. Oh, there you go. We could change the colors. So I want the two lines to have the same color because it's forming part of an M. And I see part of the M right here, but I want to see, where's the rest of the M? Or well, maybe it's up here. So what I need, I think, is these parallel lines that'll go on either side for the M. And so, for example, I am thinking about the symmetry of this line right here, and I'm going to set this to black, and I recommend you do too, because it's not part of your letter. This is your symmetry line, right? Where it's if you folded this, if it was a piece of paper and you folded it in half, you would everything would line up perfectly. That's what symmetry means. So now I'm going to say I need something that is parallel to that. Right here and right here would be fantastic. And so parallel means that it has the same slope. So notice that you can't really see the slope, but watch this. There is a hidden invisible one there. So I type it in and the equation didn't move. That's because there was always a hidden invisible one there, which means that's my slope. And if I wanted to have one that's parallel to that line, then it should either have, like, say, a different y-intercept, or maybe it would be a negative y-intercept. And so, see, there you go. And in here now, I have a very teeny tiny m. Now you could zoom in on it, and when you submit, then it shows it zoomed in. But I actually was hoping for something a little bit bigger. I don't know that I moved it exactly where I wanted it to be. How about I have it be up here at 4, or, ooh, that looks good, and down here at -4. And do you see how they match now? It's kind of hard to see when they're not the right color. So I recommend that you change the color to be the color of your work that you're trying to do. And for me, I'm sorry, um, I'm using a pen here, so it doesn't realize what I'm asking it to do. It's like, I don't know what you mean when you use a pen here. Here. There we go. Now I've got colors. And boom, I can see part of an M. And I see it's a very lovely M, I think. So here you go. I'm going to want to restrict how long the M pieces are, right? Like this section, I want it to go all the way from here to here, in between these two numbers. Those are my x values, right? That first number is an x value. That's my other x value. And by the way, it highlights over here, it highlights what line you're working on. So if I go over there and I highlight, then it tells me, hey, that's this box. So if I want to make these changes, then I'm going to use what? -5.3 and -6.6. I mean negative 0.6, sorry. So I'm using my set notation here. Negative 5.3 is less than or equal to 0 is less than or equal to 0.6. Okay, so now I want to do the next one, and I'm right here and I'm right here, and that's negative 1.33, and this is positive 0.333, and I'm going to put that in negative 0.333 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to positive 0.333. And those are supposed to be curly brackets. Whoops, there you go. And notice how there's some parentheses there. I'm just going to get rid of them because I didn't mean them to be there. And now I'm going to move to a different spot. But I must have misremembered the number here. I believe this is 1.33. There we go. And then up here, this was a positive 2.33. Sorry, 3.33. There we go. Yeah, I just was typing them in wrong. Ooh, that's very exciting. I'm almost there. I feel it. What I need to do now is I need to figure out what this intersection is. And from here to here, I don't want the line to show up. I actually want the line to be just this piece right here because that's the top of my M. So from negative 1 to 1, negative 1, sorry, all the way up to, I don't know, that looks like 3.5, 3.6. 3.4, 3.36. Okay, so on this line then, I'm going to go to negative 1, oops, curly braces, negative 1 all the way up to and including 2.36. Oh, that's not big enough. That's 3.36. My bad. There you go. I just can't remember the number from one moment to the next. If you get stuck, what you do is you unrestrict it and then you can highlight that intersection again. But that looks pretty good. I'm just not sure I needed 3.36. How about 3.3? That looks a little bit better. Okay, yay. Look, there is the top of my M. It's almost ready. Now here, this line, I just want this piece and that piece. I don't want anything to go past it. So I'm going to do, what is that one is going to be 0.67. That's the x value. And this is the other x value, negative 0.1. And again, this is tricky because I need to remember what's leftmost number is actually this number. This one is the more negative number. So when you plug it in, you have to plug it in first. So here we go. Negative 1 all the way up to and including negative 0.667. Okay, for the next letter, I did want to give you guys a little bit of a hint on how to do it. I wanted to mention that you can always zoom out and start graphing somewhere else, like lower. But if you did, below your M, think about how these numbers, like if you graph a line, in your mind, you have to come back to where this y-intercept is in order to make sure that that line is going in the direction that you want. So you might want to try actually and make your other letter above, right? So at that time, I will mention some of you get really excited about the parallel and perpendicular thing. This line, this slope, 13 and 1 over 13, is a slope that you could use again. So say, for example, I typed in y equals 13x plus 1. That's parallel to this. So say I was making a V right here, okay? So in my V, I would then go and figure out what the inverse of this is so that I could have the other side end up right there. And again, these two lines would be parallel and those two lines would be parallel. So you take this and this 13x plus 1 and you go back to your piece of paper and then you do it. Let's give it a red. Why not? We're working in red. Y equals 13x plus 1. And you follow all these steps to get a new inverse. And by the way, I think we're noticing that the new inverse will be a 1 over 13x. It's the y-intercept that you'll be figuring out. So you follow those steps and you could get your linear pair, your inversed pair, and then put it in right here and turn it into a V, or so on and so forth. If you want to, I demonstrated an A in class, and now I've done an M, and now I've given you a hint on a V. So that hopefully should help you get your project done. And don't forget to hit save.